All right, welcome to Strictly Speaking on the True Blue Network. It is so good to have you with us. We've got a special treat for today's guest. Today's guest is, well, he calls himself a recalibrated warrior. And you think to yourself, what the hell does that mean? You recalibrate machines, not human beings. But when you've had parts of your body replaced by machines, I guess you can call yourself a recalibrated warrior. His name is Travis Mills. You probably have seen him. Maybe you've even read his book. He's a retired U.S. Army Staff Sergeant, 82nd Airborne. He got blown up. Quite literally, he got blown up when he was serving this great country in Afghanistan. He has become an absolute hero and an inspiration to millions of people, maybe not just in the United States, but all around the world. The story he tells, the foundation he has put together and founded to help other people is just that. It's inspirational. So without any further ado, let's welcome Travis Mills to Strictly Speaking. Travis, it is good to see you. It's good to talk to you. How you doing, brother?
Hey, doing well. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me. Just kind of hanging out, living that dream. And, I had a bad day at work one time, so I appreciate you letting me tell my story.
Well, we're going to tell your story, or we're going to listen to your story as you tell your story again. But we're also going to have a little bit of fun. I opened up my phone yesterday, and somebody sent me a picture of a magazine cover. And I said, what the hell is this? And I looked at it, and it's a magazine called Men's Health. Let's see if we can put that up.
Oh, yeah.
Men's Health. This is current. This is October, November 2023. The 35 strongest men of the past 35 years. And on the cover and at the very top, you see veteran Travis Mills. Man, what does that mean to you?
Well, I'll tell you what, I was surprised. I don't have the 8-pack like everybody else that's on the cover of Men's Health, but it was good. It was cool. It was a nice experience. They were very nice to me. They've done my story before one other time, and the fact they put me on a cover means the world to me. I know that Chris Hemsworth's on another cover, and then so is Colin Kaepernick. So the way I kind of justified it was Chris Hemsworth, he's your epitome of what strength looks like. He fit, works out, has all the, I think it's center, but has the app that he works out with people. You got Colin Kaepernick, who, believes in conviction, whether you believe, what he believes or not, but he stuck to his guns with it. Then I think I'm the one that's more about the kind of the mental health and perseverance and resiliency side. Yeah. So really cool opportunity. I wish they would have let me change my shoes out so I had nice, clean shoes, but hey, it is what it is.
It's awesome. Today, Men's Health. Next year, People, Sexiest Man Alive. Is that coming in somewhere maybe?
Yeah. I started my diet last night after I went to bed so I could get right on track for this morning I could get Sexiest Man Alive. Yeah, I'm trying to work on the 8-pack.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't need the 8-pack to be the strongest man in the world or one of the 35, because the kind of strength that you're talking about or they're talking about with you just mentioned, it is mental. It is about mental health and mental strength. So let's dive in. You got anybody who's looking at you right now and looking at that picture, they're saying, okay, this is a dude who's got a whole lot of stuff.
Extremely
handsome.
You
are one of a very small handful of quadruple amputees to survive and actually live to tell your story. Tell us the whole thing. Tell us the backstory about what happened to you and how you ended up losing both legs and parts of both arms.
Yeah, so I was in Afghanistan on my third deployment, and we went on patrol like we normally did, and I was a staff sergeant in the 82nd Airborne Division. Pretty normal, typical day on April 10th of 2012, and came to a short halt. I put my backpack on the ground, and when I sat on the ground, underneath it happened to be a bomb. And when the bomb went off, it ended up tearing off my right arm and right leg instantly. Further surgeries took my left leg and my left arm, so I became a quadruple amputee. And then medically sedated me on the operating table because I was awake the whole time. When I first got injured, I was like, telling the medic, just leave me, don't worry about it, you're not going to save me. And he ignored me, obviously, and kept working on me. And then they had tourniquets on me, my platoon sergeant, Sergeant Hambright. And while they worked on me, I didn't know what to do, so I reached up my left hand. I still had my thumb, index, and middle finger, and I reached my trucker mic, and I called my lieutenant, and I said, hey, 6, this is 4. I got guys injured. I need your medic out over here with mine. And he sent over Doc Voice, and Doc Voice worked on myself, and then the 2 other guys got hit with me and got me on a helicopter. And then on the operating table, as they flew me to the hospital and operating table, I kept trying to sit up, and apparently that wasn't allowed. And I just kept saying, hey, I got my feet back underneath me. I get back to my guys, like, we're all good here. And then they finally said, hey, I don't know how you're still awake right now, Sergeant Mills, but you need to go sleep. And they knocked me out. As they were undressing me, my left leg Was injured so bad it kind of just came off. And after the first 14-hour surgery, I was a triple amputee. And then, stable but critical. They flew me to Bagram 2 days later on April 12th. They took me in. My skin on my left hand necrotized and died. So they had to cut that off. And then that's when I became a quadruple amputee. And then 2 days after that, I made it to Landstuhl, Germany, and woke up for the first time from my medical sedation. They kept me knocked out for those 4 days. And when I came to, I had to find out on my 25th birthday I had no arms and legs. And my brother-in-law was in the room because he was deployed with me.
Did you just say it was on your birthday?
Yeah, my 25th birthday, yeah. I woke up for the first time from a medical sedation on April 14th, and it was my 25th birthday that day, and I found out what happened to me. And I didn't really talk to anybody. I just kind of said, oh, and I ignored the doctors and nurses and medical staff. My brother-in-law who was in the room, I just ignored all of them because they had questions and I had my own. Like, am I a bad person? Does God hate me? What did I do wrong? I deserve this? Just a bunch of things going through my head. And he finally chimed in, like, I'm not going to pretend like I know what you're going through, but you got to call your wife and your parents. And I was like, okay. So I called my wife, and when she answered, I didn't really have a conversation. Just kind of said, hey, what's up? I'm fine. Love you, bye. I didn't want to deal with the situation. And then I called my parents, and about the same conversation ensued. But before I hung up, that's when my mom yelled, happy birthday. I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. It's my birthday today. And then 3 days after that, I made it back to Walter Reed. And on the 17th of April, they wheeled me into the hospital. And before my wife could get to me, they stopped her. And here she is, 23 years old, with a 6-month-old on her hip, my daughter, Chloe. And they told her that my leg had ripped open, my suture split on the ride over from Germany. And there's that alarm.
There it is. There it is. I wonder, it sounds just like an Amber Alert. For those who don't know what the hell we're talking about, and we'll get back to your story in a second.
Yeah.
There's mine.
Yeah.
Even in Do Not Disturb. For those who don't know, and people who experience this, they do know, I guess. The government decided they were going to send some sort of a national alert to every device in America, every phone, every TV, and every radio, and there was no way to stop it, basically, unless you turn your phone off. Normally, I would turn my phone off during a show, but we wanted to leave it on today because we knew it was going to happen while we were talking to see exactly what happened. And it doesn't look very much different at all than what we already knew they could do with Amber Alerts, because we get those all of the time. The purpose is to maintain and improve alert and warning capabilities at the federal, state, local, tribal, and territorial levels and elevate the nation's alert. There's just a ton of conspiracists and conspiracy theorists who are out there saying, what are they going to do with this? And I'll be honest with you, I don't necessarily trust that my metadata isn't already being, recorded or sourced or whatever anyway by anybody, whether it be from the Chinese, through TikTok or anything else. So when they said they're gonna activate everybody's phone and access everybody's phone at the exact same time, I didn't know what to expect, and I don't know if I really necessarily trust whatever the hell is going on.
Yeah, I have no idea. That's just like when I go to get on an airplane now, and they want to do my biometrics in my face, and I'm like, whoa, easy, big dog. I don't know if you need that, but I have to do it because I fly a lot for work. But I'm always like, I don't really care too much.
So now that we're done with the drama of the government test, let's get back to where you were. And you were telling the story. You got to the point where you were 3 days later, and 3 days after you woke up on that 25th birthday. 3 days later, and pick it up there.
Yeah, so it was 7 days after my injury, so a full week, and my wife came out, and they stopped her and told her they had to cut my right leg up 2 inches higher, and she had to sign the paperwork, and that's a lot to take in, because she hadn't seen me, and when I left, I was 250 pounds, 6'3" and a half, but when I got back, I had no arms and legs, so it was kind of like weird, and I had to yell through the crowd of doctors and nurses and staff, and says, hey, just sign it, it's fine. And then she signed it, and then they took me in for surgery. The next day, I got to see her on the 18th. And had a very real conversation about what I thought, the capabilities I had left to offer and what we should be doing, and told her she should probably take what we have and go. It's not worth her time to be with me. I'm not, somebody that, that she should be with, because I don't have the abilities to do anything that's beneficial for her and our daughter anymore. And, she, without batting an eyelash, was like, nah, we'll get through this together, and it was crazy because I was giving her an out, like, take the house, the cars, any money saved up, it's all yours. And she's like, yeah, that's not how this works. So early on, I was doubting what I could do, my capabilities, and what I was going to be left able to accomplish with having no arms, no legs. And, she settled that right down. It was like, yeah, we'll get through this. And then I had great support. My parents were there. My in-laws were there. Family flew in and out, my sister and brother and whatnot. But, yeah, within 5 weeks of like being injured, I had a prosthetic arm I was fitting and working with, which was great for my independence. Right?
Did they tell you right from the start that you were going to be able to get prosthetics on all 4 limbs?
Yeah, they tried to be upbeat about it, but they were like, "You're going to be here for like 3 years," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not. I got too much stuff going on. There's no way I'm staying for 3 years." And so they try to be positive, but you don't know. You're filled with doubt and rage a little bit, and you're like questioning why this happened.
Well, that's where I want to go. I mean,
yeah,
you're kind of giving us the rapid version. We went from here to here to here to here to here, and I want to slow down and I want to go to the days of doubt. I want to talk about the time of, where you have to be wallowing in misery. You have to be so saddened by what is happening. You said to yourself, dude, what happened? Did I piss off God? Does God hate me for something? Why did this happen to me? Tell me about those moments, because I feel like very few people would have the intestinal fortitude, the mental strength to overcome all of that before you even begin the physical rehabilitation to become what you are now. Tell me about those times where you felt like, I can't do this.
Yeah, I mean, it was, you lay in the hospital, but the kicker is like I had a ketamine coma like 4 weeks in, so I forgot a lot of those days. Like it just reset my brain and I forgot about it. Like I had people come in and say hi to me. I was like, hey, how's it going? Nice to meet you. And like, well, we met. And they showed me pictures and I'm like, what? When was this? So I think that was like a blessing in a way because I had a specialized treatment plan to help my phantom limb pain stop. Basically they were like, you're going to die of overdosing or you're going to be in pain like this the rest of your life. And I had a specialized thing, but no, I mean, you sit there and you wonder, like, how is this fair? A lot of things like Lieutenant Dan and Forrest Gump, right? My good friend there, Gary Sinise. Like, why didn't I just die? And you question, like, what was the point in this? Why would the doctors and nurses do this? Like, just let it fade out. If they loosened up one tourniquet and stopped giving me all the blood they gave me, I had more blood given me than anybody ever had in combat.
Really?
And overseas. Yeah, I had like 400 units of blood, which is the most blood at the time ever given to anybody. I'm not sure if I still hold the record. I hope I do because I'm a winner. But and it means like no one else got hurt that bad, right? But no, I mean you just sit there and you're like, what? Why? And that was part of my recovery. Really, my ability to realize I was not going to die. There's nothing I could do to will myself to die, and my daughter was still my daughter, 6-month-old little girl laying on my chest, playing on my nose. And I've only talked stern to my mother one time. I don't yell at my mom. I've never done anything like that. I'm not stupid, obviously, because she's 5'2" and she's a firecracker. But the one time I woke up from a nap and I was like, hey, when's Chloe coming by? My daughter's Chloe, and my wife was bringing her by, and like, oh, well, she came by, but you were sleeping, so we let you sleep. And I looked at my mom, and I was just like, don't ever do that ever again. She is the only reason that this is worth it. Like literally, the only reason to live. And that's like the sternest I got ever with my mom, but I made it, not a lot of weight to put on my daughter's 6 months old. She doesn't understand. So it's not like I put a bunch of weight on her shoulders at that time. But like, I was literally like, well, okay, I have great parents. Kelsey has great parents. And I'm going to have to be that parent. So, it sucks because I was like a 25-year-old baby. I had to like get fed, help get my clothes changed, help using the restroom, I mean, it was embarrassing.
Try to put yourself in a different position and you don't have your daughter, because it's, first of all, you said, you weren't going to die. You couldn't will yourself to die or whatever. You could have, of course, sadly, we all know the numbers of wounded veterans, PTSD veterans, and those who take their own lives because they just can't handle, everything that happened to them. And so let's pretend you don't have a daughter. She's not that rock that you have or that motivating factor or whatever it is. I mean, do you find yourself slipping further away if you try to imagine that?
Oh, yeah, I would have.
Because that makes her a legitimate blessing from God. I mean, I believe all babies, all children are blessings from God, but this literally was saved your life is what it sounds like.
I mean, it's not like an unwritten, okay, so there's an agreement in place sometimes. If something happens, is it worth it or not worth it? maybe it's not worth it to go the extra mile. So when I got injured, like it was always going to be worth it to get back to my daughter, But if my daughter wasn't there, would I have had the medic work so quickly? He probably would have tried, but I would have fought him on it. And it's not like I don't want to say it the wrong way because there's certain agreements you have that you try your best to plan for if you have the right people in place. I'm trying to be coy about it because this shit wouldn't be worth it at all if I didn't have my daughter. And at that time, looking back now, I've done a lot of cool things, right? Like, I'm a national speaker. I have a book coming out, my second one coming out soon. Nonprofit, save a lot of people's lives and help a lot of people and have a great team underneath me and own a few businesses. I'm not going to sit here and BS you. My life's pretty good, besides the fact of having no arms and legs. I'm, what I believe to be fairly successful. But back then, if I didn't have my daughter, would my wife and I still be together? She's a great person, but I probably wouldn't have allowed it. I probably would have told her, no, you need to go. And
again, to take that to the next level then. So your daughter's not there. You probably wouldn't let your wife, have to be in this kind of a life, considering what you were going to have to go through. What happens after that? Is the next level, again, you're done with that life too?
I don't know. I'd probably be one bitter a-hole, to be honest with you.
And you'd have every right to be.
Yeah.
Are you bitter in general? In other words,
no.
Do you regret your service considering what happened to you?
No, I will tell you that just like the Vietnam era war, it was time to get out of there, right? We're not willing to win the war like we did in World War II. There was nothing to be won. I would go out on patrols and they had bombs that they buried the night before. We would watch them bury the bombs, but because there was a rule put in by an administration that was going to go out at nighttime, I had to just watch them, know what they were doing, and then try not to hit them the next day. And it was ridiculous, right? So in my unit, I had myself a quad, a triple amputee, my buddy Monty, 2 double leg amputees, a single leg amputee, and 22 guys total, and 1 killed in action. 22 guys had to go home. It was just like we were walking around minefields. So it was. I'm not saying my service was pointless. I'm just saying that the mission of babysitting and going out and all this stuff without effectively trying to win the war was. It was draining.
What does winning the war mean over there? What would have been a victory?
There wasn't. That's the thing. There wasn't.
There was no way to.
Think about this, right? Think about this. Like Vietnam, right? Vietnam was a conflict, and Vietnam they couldn't go into Cambodia to win the war. Where did they find Osama bin Laden? Pakistan.
Yeah.
Where did the fighters always come for after Ramadan or whatever they call it? They always came over from Pakistan over the mountains to fight us. But we're not willing to go into Pakistan, right? So at the end of the day, I loved my service. I loved the guys I served with, right? To my left and my right. I cared about them. Their lives mattered to me. My life mattered to them. They fixed me when I got blown up. I should have bled out and died, but they had tourniquets on me as soon as they could. And I'm not bitter about that, right? Now, do I look back and think, what the hell were we doing? Of course I do. But again, I'm not. I love the military. I was going to be a 20-year guy, and I still would have been if I wouldn't have got blown up, right?
When did you enlist?
2006.
And was that driven by 9/11 still? I know that was 5 years after, but was that driven by that? Did that motivate you? Or?
Kind of. The war was kicking off. I had some friends in. I hated college. I loved playing college football. I liked having my own apartment, but I literally just didn't want to go to school no more. I was done with it. And the Army was another form of a team and a bond and a brotherhood, and it was deeper and stronger. And like I said, I don't regret what I did. I understand bad things happen to good people, not just bad things happen to bad people. So what happened to me sucks. But and I've always been a positive kind of person, a great outlook. Do I think I'd be the same person without my daughter? I don't know. I can honestly sit there and be like, I don't know. Now fast forward, right? She's 12, just turned 12 last week. We're best friends. I have a 6-year-old little boy who's named after the medics, Daniel and Alexander. His name's Dax. He's a champion. My wife and I are doing well, 15 years of marriage. But I will tell you that she doesn't make – there's no excuses I can make, right? I pick my kids up from school. I take my kids to school. I work all the time to provide for them. And when we hear stories of other veterans that are like, oh, well, I can't do this because it's like, it's complete bullshit. I'm sorry, I'm not sure I'm supposed to swear on your show, but like,
we're good.
The Army, the military, the government gives me the opportunity. I drove to my office today. Matter of fact, today I went down to a golf tournament fundraiser for my foundation. Right, then I drove to a meeting. I own a restaurant. Had a meeting with the restaurant staff as well as the other owners, and then I drove to this office for this interview, and then I'm going to go pick my daughter up from practice tonight. So I have no excuses. We live in a world where technology and advancement has made it so easy to live that it's ridiculous to ever think like if this happens to somebody they should quit. Now, I mean, that's a cool trick, right? It doesn't even hurt. But I can and I'm not gonna lie, like I need help putting my legs on in the morning the right way and put my arm on the right way. I can't do buttons, right? But
I was gonna ask you like some of this tough stuff that we all take for granted. I mean, you got to wipe your own ass. I mean, you gotta wash out your own armpits. I mean, how do you do those things?
Well, I mean, like first off, America needs to switch to bidets because they're awesome. But on top of that, no, I have the ability. And then the shower, I have like it's like a clamp with a flexible metal wand with a duct taped on loop. I wash myself. So I mean, we're way out over the place, right? I'm not.
Well, when I asked you whether you regret your service because of what happened to you, you start off, you gave a great response. I'm bigger picture on this too. And you said it was time to get out of there because we weren't going to win the war. I get pissed off when I think about the way it ended 2 years ago. First of all, and I want you to talk about that too, and the way we withdrew, and the way they took, they left all of the machinery behind, the $85 billion worth of weapons and everything else. And what pisses me off is I was all about let's go on 9/11, 9/12. Or whatever time it was when George Bush stood atop that fire truck and said, the people who knock these buildings down are going to hear from all of us soon. I was like, let's freaking go, right? So the Taliban is in control of Afghanistan, providing the funding, providing the training for all of those who did that. And now, 20 years later, we get out of there in 2021 the way that we did. It took 10 minutes for the Taliban to come in and retake control. They took Kabul again. In other words, why did you lose all your limbs? Why did your buddies lose theirs? Why did they lose their lives if for 20 years we fought something where the end ended up being the same thing, as it was when we started?
Well, and the thing is, you can look at it that way, and trust me, I can see it that way, but I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, right? Like I went over there because my country asked me to. I went over there made some of the best friends ever, said goodbye to some of the best friends ever, not gonna lie, right? And I did my job. And I cared about those to my left and my right. And we did build out schools. We did help females learn. We did bring new wells. We did good, right? We did good. And I don't let myself get on the rabbit hole of that because at the end of the day, you could be angry and everything like that. Like me, I don't live in the past. I tell people when 2 life lessons. You can't control your situation, but you can control your attitude. And the other one is you can't, don't dwell on the past. Just reminisce. I can't change the fact I got blown up, so I might as well not sit there and ask why. I quit asking why a long time ago because I'll never, ever get the answer I want. You're just never going to find it. And that's fine. I'm okay. I'm at peace with that. I'm never going to find out why I got blown up, and I'm okay with that because you know what? It happened. It's over. We're good. And I just, I'm a very positive person, and people always wonder, like, man, is this a facade? 'Cause I speak all over the nation, right? Like for my own speaking company, Travis Mills Group LLC, and I speak to like Microsoft and spoke to just whatever, big companies. M3
I can see why. I can see why. Yeah, you are relentlessly positive, and that's an amazing thing to be considering what has happened to you.
And I tell a lot of jokes in the beginning that people feel comfortable because when you see me, you're like, ooh, geez, like we're taught as a society, like don't stare, don't point, like try to not make it different. And I make it so people can feel comfortable around me because at the end of the day, I'm the same person I was, and that's the best compliment I get from people in my past. Now, like when we withdrew from Afghanistan, you're telling me we have Kandahar Air Base. And we have Bagram Air Base, and we have no control over keeping those to let people get on actual airplanes and fly out. Like you get rid of those before, then you go to the small little Kabul. Like it was a terrible plan, but it was time to get done.
And 13 more service members lost their lives in that ridiculous.
Exactly. And for what? And then they're like, well, it was ISIS-K. It wasn't like. I don't care about any of that stuff. Like the Taliban got it back. They were going to wait. A lot of the population didn't work with us over there because they knew that we were going to leave every year or 18 months. We were ripping out. Somebody else was coming in. The Taliban was going to be there. Now, again, I went to the Oval Office and I sat with President Donald J. Trump at the time. And he asked me, can you win the war? I told him the same thing I'm telling you. Nope. There's no war to win. You're not willing to drop bombs. You're not willing to kill everybody. There's no war to win.
What did he say?
And he said, oh, okay. He said, well, then what do you do? And I said, well, you can reinstate the rules of engagement because the last president decided that going out at nighttime was not good because the president of Afghanistan told President Obama it scared his people. Our slogan was literally, we own the night. We have night vision capabilities they do not have. We own the night, we keep the enemy at bay, and we keep crushing it. And they decided that we can't do that. And I said, also, we'll have guys that shoot at us. We try to go get them. As soon as they drop their AK-47, they're no longer combatant. We can't shoot them back. We can't do anything about it. Well, within 2 weeks, he changed the rules of engagement. And I remember a congresswoman from the state of Maine. I don't want to talk shit on it. Well, whatever. No, I don't care.
It's all right.
Saying like,
talk all the shit you want. You've earned it.
Well, yeah, but I'm kind of a public figure with a national nonprofit, so I can't really.
Understood.
Everybody knows where I lean, but I try not to, But I remember a congresswoman would say that after Trump, 2 weeks after I had the meeting with him, and he was like, you know what? I can hire a big consultant firm to go into my restaurant and give me a whole year and, to do all their work and figure out what's wrong with the place, or I can just ask the wait staff and I'll figure it out. And he, within 2 weeks, changed the rules of engagement back to what it used to be before. It was like, yep, if you got PID, positive identification on a weapon, shoot. Shoot and keep shooting. Get back home safely. And I can remember a congresswoman being all upset. Oh my gosh, the population, the civilians over there. And I'm like, that's just ignorance talking. You have no idea. You just want a microphone to talk in front of because you're an idiot. But again, I mean, I don't get fired up. I don't dwell in the past. That does no good. I quit asking why this happened because it's not going to make it go away. I'm not magically going to be like, oh, that's why. Now we're good, right? You can go down any rabbit hole that you want to go down. And, I'm one of 5 to survive my injuries of quadruple amputation. I mean, there's triple amputees. There's guys that have triple plus. There's guys that have burned, blind, paralyzed from the neck down. I mean, there's a whole plethora. Now, why did it happen to me? Don't know. But I don't even care anymore because I have a very good life.
Well, I think you've already explained why it happened to you. In my view, it's your speaking company. It's your foundation. You had some shit happen to you that a lot of guys could not have overcome, and it happened to you because you could. And again, I'm being a little bit, maybe metaphysical here,
right?
But because you took it, and instead of wallowing in it, you overcame it, and you are now an inspiration to people. It's like, look what I do, look what I can do. It doesn't slow me down. It doesn't stop me. I'm one of the 35 strongest men of the last 35 years, whatever the hell that thing. No, I mean it though. You're an inspiration, and sometimes bad things happen to good people because those good people lead to other good things. And I think that might be your answer.
I should have been maybe a worse person, I guess. No, but but for me though, like
or a weaker one.
Yeah. But for me, I'm fortunate to say, I can honestly say I employ over 100 people at different businesses that I own, with partners and whatnot. And they can put food on their table and take care of their families because of the businesses at, my restaurant, my marina, and the foundation. And I'm so grateful to have them on my team. I'm able to say that, no matter what life throws you, like you can always get back up and keep pushing forward. And I tell people their biggest problem is their biggest problem. Like there's no reason to measure your problems compared to my problems. Because you're going to look at me with arms and legs and be like, oh my gosh, my problems aren't that bad. And at the same time, it's like, no, your biggest problem is literally your biggest problem. What you have going on in life matters. My injury should not affect you. And if I can help with my story, I do that because I was given the ability to live through my injuries. My kids don't see me as any different. I mean, like tonight, right? I can 99% sure guarantee that I'm going to be on the trampoline with my son tonight from 7 to 8 o'clock, and my daughter's going to come out and try, and then we're going to wrestle around, play tag, rolling log, all that stuff, and I do that. But I don't.
Are you on the trampoline with the prosthetics or without?
No, I take them off.
Okay.
I take them. Yeah.
I'm trying to picture that. I saw one of your videos on your YouTube channel of you on the treadmill. Ryan, can you pull that up? Because I I have no idea. There's no basis of trying to understand this if you haven't suffered this. But I'm just trying to think, where does the balance come from? You have your legs down to what, just above the knees, and everything else below that is
Yeah.
bionic. You know,
So
you're Steve Austin.
it's
You're the
like,
$6 million man. But I'm wondering, how do you
yeah.
balance to do what you're doing? See if we can pull that up here.
Well, when you learn to walk, you got to start short, and then you get your hip flexors strong, and you get your core strong. I mean, look, I'm fat. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm not overweight a little bit. I got a little extra, but my core is really strong, and I'll put my core up against anybody, like what I do.
Watch you. I
Right?
want to watch you
And
on this. Watch for a second here, Travis. Can you see this where you are? Let's
not
see
yet.
if we can share this and watch you on the treadmill. And this looks like the end, or it's coming an end of a grueling workout because they're counting you down. It looks like this is your workout with a former NFL player. Who are you working out with?
Oh yeah. My buddy David there. Yeah. That thing sucks. High
Okay.
finger sucks.
Yeah.
And
See, and I'm just looking now.
Magnets hold the belt, so
Go
there's
ahead.
resistance. There's magnets that are holding that belt, so it like holds the resistance. Really, so like when I'm walking, it's not a regular treadmill. Like I'm going against so much weight that's getting put on there. So I'm like really pulling my thighs. And then that's Clint Bruce. He was a Navy SEAL, pretty awesome guy. And if you guys happen to have Instagram or Facebook, I do a lot of fun Instagram videos on my big page at SSG Travis Mills that you guys will probably be impressed with. I do jiu-jitsu now. I just started jiu-jitsu, so that's been fun.
I saw one, and I don't know if it was Instagram, but it was a video did, and it showed a sense of humor that I can't even freaking begin to describe. Maybe we can find it before we're done here, but it involves you in some way recreating what happened to you and ending up laying in the grass. And I don't want to give it away too much and spoil it. I'll let Brian hunt it. Maybe he can hunt it down, and if we get it, we'll bring it up here.
It was an Independence Day video.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So see if you can find that. That'd be great. But Travis, I want to go back to war now, because when you went in 2006, you knew you were going in and you were going to war, right? I mean, we were in Afghanistan, we were in Iraq. You weren't just joining the military to get the GI Bill. You didn't even like school, you said. So you know you're going to war. Now that you've been to war, and moreover, you've seen what happened after 20 years in Afghanistan and the way it ended, and it basically is in the same hands of the same people that we ran out of there starting in 01 or 02. In Iraq, obviously, there's long debates about whether anything was accomplished at all and whether the blood that was shed was worth it. Big picture, are you pro-war? Are you supportive of, like right now we're arming and funding Ukraine in their war against Russia, and the concern is, might that lead us into a battle against Russia and have to send troops if they go into a NATO country? How do you feel about the way the U.S. deploys its warriors like yourself?
I mean, there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes. My brother-in-law is part of civil affairs, and he said that we're fighting a proxy war with Russia without shedding any real American blood, which is a good thing, apparently. I don't know. But look, if there's someone attacks us, we got to get them, right? World War II, Pearl Harbor, let's go. 9/11, okay, let's go. I didn't really understand the whole Iraq thing because Iraq wasn't, but whatever. The whole WMDs I never really found. They had remnants, whatever. But am I pro-war if it's needed? Sure. But I think that, our
do the Russia thing one step further. I mean, I agree. Obviously, if they attack us, we got to fight. Right now, they're in Ukraine, which is not a NATO country. If they go through Ukraine and go into Poland or another NATO country, by the terms of the alliance, if they attack us one, they attack us all. Would you support American troops having to go to Poland or wherever and fight the Russians if they go into a NATO country?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, if it was under like with President Trump saying everybody's got to do their fair share, you got to pay your fair share, you got to support the same way. Like, we shouldn't be sending everybody, but at the same time, I don't think they're going to do that. Like, I don't think Russia's going to do that. I think Russia really wants the Crimea. They want that $2 billion natural gas that they can go get because they're a poor country, and I think that's what they're trying to take. So when they, I do a lot more studying on this stuff than I like to admit, but in my opinion, I think that what ground they're taking now, and they're not stalling out. Well, they're kind of stalling out. I think they just want that $2 billion in natural gas that they're taking from the Crimea area. And then I think there's some minerals and stuff and mining that they're trying to take. And I think that after that, they're going to try to call it and just let, Ukraine and them kind of frontline battle back and forth until we step in and say, hey, we're done with this. Like, just sign the treaty and be done with it. But, I think that's what they're really after. because they're not a very wealthy country. Um, and then I've heard rumors from some big bankers that China's probably the next one that we're going to have to go against, which I
That
think.
was my next question. Is I was going to ask what your opinion is on China. They are clearly the most dangerous foe we have geopolitically. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, militarily, geopolitically, economically, they're our biggest foe, and
Well,
they're rattling their sabers about invading Taiwan, which would have a direct impact on the American economy because of
yeah.
Taiwan's semiconductor production. How do you where do you come down on that? I mean, what foreign policy do you think is best served people like yourself, and I guess all of us, but particularly our troops? Do we want to be engaged in that type of a conflict?
Well, you guys, it kind of depends what you believe, right? So I have a friend that he believes that COVID was started because it was killing off the older, and China can't keep up with their communist party because they can't keep up paying for the old that are too weak to work. And again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm just saying that's one thought. So if they take over Taiwan, does Taiwan give them benefits, monetarily, economically that they need to survive as their country's too populated, too many people, and the older generation, right, the baby boomer generation that they have is not able to work, and they got to feed them and take care of them. Now, also, and the thing is, I think China has to be a little smarter than they are right now. Why would they want to mess with us? We're like the biggest buyer of their products. Their country, like, honestly, I feel like their country would collapse. Amazon would be done. Like, we wouldn't buy stuff from China anymore. You go to war with them, we'd just be like, well, we're done buying that. We'll go to Vietnam, make everything in Vietnam and over in that area. So I think China's dangerous by all means, and I think they have this weird misconception because the news that they get is the news that's out there. Like, we only care about, the stupid things that are on the news all the time that are just like, that's not us. Like, you poke the bear, you're gonna wake up a sleeping dragon. And
Yeah. Well, and the question is what is that dragon supposed to do? I mean, we've spent so far $113 billion arming the Ukrainians.
yeah,
The model there is, well, if China goes into Taiwan, we're going to have to spend the same kind of money arming Taiwan. And if we do, we're fighting a proxy war now there as well. Meanwhile, we're $33 trillion in debt. We got a $3 trillion or a $2 trillion budget deficit right now. I mean, can we afford to be engaging either financially, economically, or militarily in all of these battles around the globe?
I'll be honest with you. Who's going to come and call us on their debt? Do you think anybody's really going to be like, hey, like, I don't get the whole like $33 trillion debt. Like, someone's going to call us on it. Like, come take it. Come try it. Like, I don't believe in that. I think that's pretty stupid, to be honest with you, because I don't think anybody's really going to call us on $33 trillion dollars, and who we owe money to or whatever. But that's just me. Okay. So as far as like the whole proxy war, I'm not like a big fan of it, but I understand Taiwan makes most of our pharmaceuticals, right, that we get and things like that. But then again, I just had a meeting yesterday where I was talking about how it was sold to the, well, it wasn't a meeting, I was watching a documentary coming out soon. Can't really talk about it, but coming out soon about how our manufacturing and everything was sent overseas and was sold that we're going to get higher paying jobs. And it basically, it was just a big lie to get manufacturing to go overseas because it was cheaper so the bigger companies could make more money, right? And I think with all the stuff going on, if China ever kicks off, you're going to see America have to rebuild its manufacturing and all of its stuff from the inside, like we used to do back in the 40s and the 50s. And and I'm not saying it's good or bad, but I think that all this stuff going on in the world, it's interesting. But like $33 trillion in debt, who's going to call us on it? And why are we? I'm not saying like we're going to steal from people, but I'm just saying, like, am I really worried about someone saying like, oh,
You mentioned pharmaceutical companies. They could almost end our debt by themselves as much as they've made. Where are you on, are you vaxxed, or do you not want to say? Do you support the vax mandates? I mean, do you know how, I don't even know the number, but it's extraordinary, the number of active military who were bounced from the service because they wouldn't take those shots because they didn't trust it. Is that the place? Go ahead.
I will say I like the military pumps you full of everything. I had like a special like anthrax thing they were trying. Just like, hey, we got this thing you got to try. It's 12 shots of anthrax. I'm like, oh, cool. Okay, whatever. In the arm it goes. But as far as vaccine, like, I needed to make money. I was worried if I was trying to speak somewhere, I didn't have the vaccine, they wouldn't hire me. So I did get the first round. I've not gotten any more. I'm not getting any more.
Do you think that all of those, because there there were soldiers and Marines and airmen and sailors who lost rank, who lost opportunities for promotions unless they got jabbed, and they lost a lot of money as a result of that. And other people who worked, contractors who worked with the military and anybody else in the federal government. Do you think they deserve all of their back pay, especially considering what we found out, which is we were lied to, that the vaccines did not prevent, they did not inoculate you from COVID? It makes you feel a little better. The symptoms are a little bit less worse than they would have been. Well, that's not what a vaccine is. You told us it was going to inoculate us from getting it and spreading it. And they took money from millions of people and troops, for not doing it.
And then I saw a pharmacist was on, and he was like, "Hey guys, just know there's more coming. Obviously, with the card they gave you that they didn't laminate, that has 3 other slots on it, there's more things coming." And he was right. He was right. So, I mean, I think it's ridiculous, personally. And now they're trying to push it again. Like, they're like, oh, so at the end of the day, like, is it dangerous? Sure. So is the flu. I don't think that, and then if you look at the national death rates in the U.S., compared to the COVID pandemic and the year before, and the year before that, and the year after that, they're all the same. They're all within, so it's like it didn't,
Well, we used to have 100,000 people dying from the flu in an average flu season anyway, and then they just changed it to, COVID, and they literally did, because the flu, a lot of people don't know, is also a respiratory virus, and so is COVID. And so anybody who died of flu symptoms, they said COVID, COVID, COVID. Then they had people in there with broken legs, died in the hospital. He had COVID too, so we're going to call it a COVID death. Well, no. I mean, it's kind of bizarre the way they tried to make us afraid.
I'm not saying like it didn't sweep through and like have a high death rate in the beginning for older people and like all that stuff, but as far as like I don't know. I won't be getting any more shots, and I'm lucky because you see like the Damar Hamlin or whatever his name is, with cardiac arrest and all that. Like, do I believe that in all the football games all the time they have it, that a hit to his chest was the only one that's ever going to happen with 32 teams in the NFL?
And it's not just him. I mean, I'm sure you've seen, there are soccer pitches and basketball courts and all over the world, not just in the United States, where people who are healthy, athletic, 18 to 25 years old, collapsing with heart attacks, collapsing with, myocarditis, pericarditis, and all these other things like that. It's just, it's bizarre that we're supposed to think that's a coincidence.
Like Bronny James, right?
Bronny James. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I wonder how. Anyway, look, again, I'm not big on conspiracy stuff because I don't want to, I don't want to dive into that deep realm. I mean, I focus on my family, I focus on my foundation, and I focus on my businesses, my friends and stuff.
Well, it's not a conspiracy, Travis, that they want you to vaccinate your kids too. Anybody over the age of 6 months of age, they want to take this new shot. You putting this in your 12-year-old and your youngest?
No, my wife won't allow. Yeah, she was. Yeah, no.
Your wife won't allow. Yeah, well, that's reasonable, and it's particularly given your circumstances. I mean, it's really important. I want to ask you one more question about the military.
Yeah.
And this is, I don't know what your politics are, and I don't need to know, I guess, other than I'm going to ask you about the wokeness in the military. Travis, they're using drag queens in Navy commercials to recruit. And to drive recruitment, drag queens. You've got officers who are not being promoted because they don't score high enough in the DEI, thing in terms of diversity, inclusion, and equity. If you are the wrong color, if you're the wrong sex or the wrong gender identity or whatever, you're not getting promoted because we have to have everything be equitable. All of this stuff is infiltrating the military. And you asked me, you asked about China before. We talked about China before. I mean, if I'm the Chinese military and I'm looking at the American recruiting methods and what they're doing to their military, I'm just waiting it out because it's getting weaker and weaker and weaker, and the time to strike is going to come. What do you think about, as a military veteran, especially given your status, when you see all of this stuff right now?
Oh, absolutely no place for it. I think it's ridiculous when they started it, right? Like why? What's it matter? I think it's absolutely asinine. You
don't think young men are going to want to join the Navy when they see a drag queen on the deck of a battleship putting on women's clothes?
At the end of the day, so the Roman Empire, right? The Roman Empire, it became just a place of thinkers. It became a place where you could just be a free thinker, and that's what they did, right? There was nothing really to do, so they just sat around and thought all day, and then it crumbled. Right now, we have no wars. We have nothing that's like, oh my gosh, we got to do that. If you look at the news, that's what they talk about, right? They talk about the whole transgender thing. It's like the biggest storyline out there. They talk about whatever, all this stuff that really, in essence, means nothing. And we're becoming a society that's like giving handouts, like, oh, you don't got to work. Here, let me give you some money just to do nothing. And we'll take care of you. Oh, you want disability? We can make that happen. You see those commercials on TV all the time. We'll give you disability. And the problem is, as a society right now, we're not in a war. We're not in a place where we got to worry about that, where we're actually fighting, where we got to worry about where our next meal is coming from or things like that. So we're doing all this ridiculous stuff. But the minute China or somebody pokes this bear, right, we're gonna awaken. And I think the best thing is it's like hard times create,
hard times create hard men. Hard men create good times. Good times create weaker men. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we hit the hard times with World War II and the Depression, and we created hard men. I think the hard men created good men when it got to the Vietnam era and things like that. And I think the good men created weaker, the weak people. I honestly, I don't know what's going on, right? Like this guy Trevisano, you ever heard of him? I think you might have.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He always said, "I live in a world I don't understand." I'm living in a world I don't understand, and I can relate. I have my buddy who got married and they're about to start having kids. Like, I don't know if I want to bring a kid in this world. I'm like, that's ridiculous. Like, you can raise your kid any way you want, right? Like, you can bring your kid up and instill morals and values and just be connected, be there and present, so you know what's getting taught at schools or what's getting said. But at the same time, I think something drastic is going to happen. Unfortunately, like China's going to see our news. They're going to see what we're promoting, like drag queens and all that stuff. They're going to be like, oh, we can do this, and they're going to find out real quick. That's the hard times that are coming, and it's gonna bite you in the ass if you try to mess with us. But as of right now, we are soft.
I feel like that too, and I feel like I feel like
words hurt. Give me a break.
Yeah,
I mean, you see like 1955 school videos of the gyms and how they did that, and now gym. We don't need our kids to do gym. It's just they're gonna sweat.
You're exactly right.
Are you kidding me?
Well, not to mention, gym rewards people who are physically strong, but kids who are weaker and smaller and stuff get picked on and get dodgeballs to the face and everything else. Well, guess what? That's how kids learn how to deal with getting knocked down, is to pick themselves back up again, for crying out loud. You don't just not put them in competitive situations because you're afraid that they may fail. That failures, look at you. You didn't fail, but you got knocked the hell down. You got knocked down and 4 limbs came off. And did you stay down? No, you got back up and you're the Bionic Man, for crying out loud.
Yeah. Shit. Hold on 1 second. Take a pause.
That's all right. We can pause it.
We're probably so all right, 1 sec. Sorry about that.
No worries.
My bag fell over a little bit. I think I hit the table. But
all good. I thought you were trying to give us a close up of your legs, your prosthetics or something.
Look good, right? But okay, so right here, that person helped me, Heather. She's my executive director of the Travis Mills Foundation. Right? I mean, her husband's a Marine. Her kids are awesome. She has horses. They do chores, everything. My wife gets mad at me because I'm like my son. She says I'm mean on him or mean to him. I'm like, I'm not mean to him, but he went to pick up a toy for his cousin. We were going to a birthday party. Picked up himself in the neck. He's like, oh, that hurts. I'm like, no, it was uncomfortable. I said, you're fine. He's like, you're mean, Dad. He said, I want your friends to treat you when you get hurt. I said, if I was hurt, but I'm not hurt, just like you're not hurt. Get in the car, and it's not like I'm a jerk, but I'm just like, I don't know. I feel like this.
You know what? There are things that your wife, and I don't know your wife, but I just know because she's your wife, she cannot do for your kids. There are things that you cannot do for your kids. I'm bringing this up just to kind of talk about something that's controversial, but how extraordinarily important it is to have a mom and a dad in the house together raising those kids. Because again, there are roles that you cannot fill for your kids' needs, boys and girls, and there are roles that your wife, cannot fill that your kids need as well. You said we're soft, our military is soft, our whole country is soft because we're embracing, either single parenthood or, 2 males, 2 females, 1 identifying male, 1 identifying dog, whatever the crap, you know what I'm talking about, the stuff that's out there now. It's creating confusion among kids. And it's so important what you just described, that there's a dad in a kid's life to teach a kid how to be, how to roll with the punches.
Yeah, I mean, so I believe that if there's a couple that's together and want to raise a family and embrace, compassion and love and teaching and stuff like that, like, hey, do what you want. I'm not going to sit here and say anything against it, right? It is what it is, and if you can bring up somebody in society and make them a good human being, that's great. I think when churches, our church got less popular, right? People got away from like morals and values and things like that. If you look at
and they drove God out of schools.
If you just look at religion as a moral compass of what to do, like, I think the world's a better place. And the thing is, like, maybe you don't believe in God and everything like that, but if you look at it as a moral compass, the 10 commandments of like, hey, these are how you be a good person. Like, I definitely can get behind that. I don't need to judge you on your beliefs or things like that. I can just say, like, maybe you shouldn't lie, probably shouldn't steal, shouldn't cheat, shouldn't, adultery, like all this stuff. You shouldn't be doing,
Yeah.
It's a pretty good compass on how to be a good person.
Well, and we have evidence. We have evidence to back it up that, like when God was in the schools and when, and again, you're right. You don't have to be a particular faith. You don't have to be any faith whatsoever as long as you use the morals that you're talking about. But if you look at back when we did that, particularly when, the overwhelming majority of households had a mom and a dad raising their kids together. And guess what? Achievement levels were through the roof. Our scores, we led the world academically. We led the world in productivity. We led the world in efficiency, all of these things. As those things went away and moms and dads didn't have to be together, or moms and dads weren't together and kids didn't have that same, guideline, guess what? Our achievement went down, our grades went down, our status in the world went down, our productivity went down. So there's a proven statistical model here that shows that we do better and our kids will do better if we follow those things that we once did. That's not just striving for the old days being, when we were in school, we went up the hill to school both ways. We're just trying to say that things worked when the nuclear family was celebrated, when it was encouraged and not intentionally destroyed, I think, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I get that. There's situations and circumstances where, unfortunately, that just can't happen, and you can't knock. I don't knock the parents for whatever situation they're trying to be in. I just think that we live in a society that's based off a lot of excuses and a lot of like, well, Johnny can't do this because of this. Like, I had a math teacher that parents were getting mad at, and I didn't do very good in the class, but I didn't really, whatever. But he's like, it's different. He goes, I've been doing this for 30 years. The math problems, the answer never changes. It's math, but somehow the parents want to tell me that it's my fault because you don't know it and you don't want to learn it and you don't want to take the time. And that's the real kicker, right? Like, we are a society now that can make excuses like, oh, that doesn't matter. And I'll be the first one to tell you, my daughter had this math homework the other day, or last year really, and they were like this Common Core. I don't really understand it. And I showed her the way that I learned it, like long division. She goes, this is so much easier. I'm like, yeah. And it was like, hey, so Debbie does it this way and Jack does it this way. And there was like 5 different examples. I said, cross out that name Jack and put my dad. And Chloe showed the teacher, and she was like, well, that's what we want you to get to. And I'm like, why would you change this?
Yeah.
Like,
right.
my dad do it this way. And then I got my wife mad at me because I was like, Chloe, I own 7 different businesses I'm either a part of or solely own. And I said, I've never used this a day in my life. And Kelsey's like, you can't say that. And I'm like, well, I don't think we raise a nation of entrepreneurs. I think we raise a people and I thought I saw a quote from was it Roosevelt that said, I don't want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of workers. I think it was Roosevelt. I could be wrong.
Sounds right. Sounds right.
But it's like, man, we don't, taking a chance on yourself. People are so afraid to take a chance on themselves. And I had to get blown up to do it. I had to get blown up, my arms, legs taken away for me to believe, like, you know what? I can do it. Why not try something? Why not just go for it and try something? Because at the end of the day, you get one life. Whether you get knocked down like I did, right? I get, I died and came back and whatever. Like, I get that. But you get one chance at it to make the most of yourself in the world. So for me, my wife and I gave $5,000 to start a nonprofit for care packages. Fast forward today, we have Heather, who's off camera here, and her whole team. Right, there's 35, I believe 35 total, part-time and full-time, and thousands of volunteers, and we're helping tens of thousands of people every year with their injuries or post-traumatic stress or different programs we have, just because Kelsey and I believe that we could. And we got people to buy in and understand that our mission is just to give back and help. We want nothing from this. We don't get paid. We don't take a salary, no bonuses. It's all about giving back. And, same thing with starting a restaurant or owning a marina, or my new book. It's called Bounce Back. Shameless plug. Comes out November 7th. Pre-orders available now. But people wonder how I do it. And I'm like, I'm not special. I had a bad day at work. I got back up, I pushed forward, and I made the best of it because I was given the chance. Call it whatever you want, you know, grace, God's grace, or whatever. I was given the chance to live through my injuries and live in a world where I can pick things up, right? I can walk, I can drive myself, and I can do things because of the technology and the advancements we made in the medical medical adaptations. What am I trying to say? Adaptations. Yeah,
Adaptations. I got you. I knew where you were going.
But like at the end of the day, do I think that we're soft and that, you know, words hurt more than a punch in the face right now? Yeah. You take a kid and you get punched in the face, you'll find out what real pain is. You know what I mean? You'll figure it out quick.
That's a lesson. That's a lesson they need to learn, and they don't. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
So Travis, I knew about Tough as They Come. That was your first book from what, 2015, 16, somewhere. I didn't know about Bounce Back. Tell me about Bounce Back. Give me more shameless plugs.
There we go. So I got a new book. People always wonder. I go around. Like I said, I get to speak throughout the nation, actually internationally. No big deal. But and people wonder how I do it, and I was just like, I have to. Like, I don't know. Like I'm not. I mean, I have 3 honorary doctorates, so I am a doctor, but not like a real one. And I don't know how I do it. But what I did was I took a collaborative author, Kathy Huck, who's fantastic. We actually have different political beliefs, and we get along fine because you can do that. And we wrote this book with other people's stories, right? So there's a guy that had his house burned down and went through a divorce, and it shows what his story was, the lowest he's ever been, and then how he came out of it. Then we have medical background and theories by different research, doctors and projects of how your mind can adapt and overcome to things and what the science says. Then I have a widower, a cancer survivor, a guy that had drug addiction, a guy that was sexually abused, and some other ones in there, right? Suicide, your loved one had suicide in their family. So it's like, okay, so this was the lowest that they've been. This is their story, which is incredible, and where they came from and where they went to, and then medical background saying why. Because the only thing I couldn't tell people was how I broke it down in my brain. Because one day I got blown up. 4 days after that, I woke up in the hospital feeling sorry for myself, pissed off at the world, not wondering why I lived through it. And then 3 days after that, or 4 days after that, right, I saw my daughter and my wife, told them to leave me, and they didn't. And then I was like, okay, well, now it's time to get better because there's nothing else. And I'll tell you, there's a guy, like I said, if I didn't have Chloe, I'm not sure where I'd be in life. I don't know. And I can honestly say that, not in a bad way, but I just don't know. But I had this guy that got blown up. He has a silver star for valor. Blown up, both legs gone. We were out at an event, and I'm smiling, joking, shaking hands, being myself. And he said, hey, you know what, Travis? You're part of the Everything's Great Club. And I said, what's that even mean? And he said, well, you got no arms and legs, but you act like everything's just so great. And I looked at him and said, you know what? You're right. Because I know at least 50 years. I'm hoping I got 50 years left. And I can accept that this happened to me, and I can understand that it sucks, but I can also sit there and be like, I'd rather be me and positive looking at the future than be angry and bitter and pissed and not be able to get over my injuries and realize I have 50 years left, so I might as well make the most of them. And I'm telling you what, I could have punched this guy probably 100 times in the face, and those words hit harder than anything I could have done physically to him because his whole demeanor changed. Because it's like you have to realize you get one go, nothing's going to grow my arms and legs back. I can't change the past, so I'll make the most of what I have now. And that's what, fortunately, I've been able to do. I also use my handicap to get out of a lot of things like speeding tickets all day.
How do you drive? How do you manage to drive?
My legs are Bluetooth, so I have like a little app on my phone. It locks my leg from, like, say I'm in walk mode like this. I get drive mode, 25-degree angle. So you see my arm like bent, like my leg gets bent. And I drive like everybody else with my right foot.
Wow. That's amazing. Hey, I think we found your Instagram, right, Ryan? We got some Instagram. Let's enjoy some of Travis Mills' Instagram.
I tell you what, if you scroll down to the one where you see a kid in a purple shirt and my daughter in a white shirt, that one's one of my favorites I've made so far.
Okay, we'll see if we can make that happen. And by the way, the book Bounce Back, you said we can pre-order it where? TravisMillsFoundation.com?
No. So it's on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. The other ones, but yeah, if you type in Bounce Back. Oh yeah, this is the jiu-jitsu one I just did. I got to do jiu-jitsu tonight actually. And then I'm actually going out to see Jocko this weekend.
Okay, so you do jiu-jitsu?
I mean, I kind of, right? Like I'm not like I don't got a belt necessarily.
No, but I mean, you obviously train. You're not just like, monkeying around out there, right? You're actually working and learning techniques, things that obviously most people, if you ever try to get somebody into a clinch or into a hold or whatever, they need to use their legs or whatever, you've got very limited capability there. But look at you freaking scrap.
Well, it's hard for them because the only thing they get me is a choke. They can't arm bar me. They can't leg lock or heel hook me. And then I actually,
Did I say you were relentlessly positive? You literally just said they can't arm lock me. I got no arms. So
yeah. But like, a lot of it's just learning right now. Like I just kind of started, I used to do it in the military. I just kind of started doing it recently, like again. And if you scroll down, keep going. That's my book cover right there, the bounce back one. That's
we got to get that. We got to get that quickly. Yeah, that's that. When I know you said you can pre-order it now. When's it actually released?
November 7th.
November 7th. Yeah. Okay, very good.
So I'm hoping to make the New York Times bestsellers list again. I'm pretty fired up about how it came out.
Now, what are we looking at here? What are we looking at here?
This is just a documentary reenactment. I have a few documentaries out. One that Chip did. It's on Max, like HBO Max now. It's called Max or Discovery Plus. It's called Hi Travis, and then I have another one that's Travis' Soldier Story. It's on Apple TV and iTunes, I believe.
That's phenomenal. Did we find the one you were looking for? Which one were you specifically trying to scroll us to?
Right there. Oh,
we lost it.
Right there. If you click that one, so there's subtitles, but I go to the gas station. Right. That's my Bronco. I almost got the license plate said not OJ. My wife said that I couldn't do that. So.
Your wife is a wet blanket.
I know. Wow. She just said it might cause some stir. I don't know.
I know.
My daughter's never pumped gas before, but we made her seem like she knew what she was doing. Had to explain it to her. So, yeah. I don't know. We do a lot of fun videos. I did one the other day. It got put up about being lactose. And I tell people, I went to the doctor and I had a new diagnosis. Turns out I'm lactose intolerant. And I was like, I can drink milk, but I don't have any toes.
That's classic. I love it. I never saw the one you just did. The one I saw, like I said, you basically, I can't remember exactly why, but you ended up with all four of your prosthetics all around you.
Like it was going down.
Like it happened again.
Yeah, it was I'm not sure if they put it on here because they should have, but
my guy Seth showed it to me, and I fell over laughing. It was hilarious, and it's amazing that you have such a sense of humor about it.
Go back.
Which one?
You go back up. The one with the plaid shirt on.
Okay.
Brown shirt.
Yeah, let's see it. Let's see if we can hear it too. Turn that up.
What's up, everybody? Travis Mills here. I'm going to light some fireworks off before 4th of July to make sure they're going to work right. Let's hit it, Reese. Go for it. Good back up, Trav. Number 2. Let's see what happens. Hit it, Reese. You guys see the firework? Ah! Oh, gee.
Yeah.
Happy 4th, everybody. Enjoy the fireworks.
Independence Day with Travis and family.
Take it from me.
Yeah. I mean, but you gotta make light.
What was the end? What was the end? Take it from me now.
Watch out for the 4th of July explosions. They don't work out so well every time.
You don't need to be doing inspirational speeches. You need to be doing stand-up comedy, dude. That's classic stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna go out. We're gonna go out to Tony Hinchcliffe or something like that to do. Yeah, I mean, my presentation is kind of a comedy act, but it's fun. Like at the end of the day, people see me and they're like, "Oh, it must be terrible," and I'm like, "Look, I was given the chance to keep pushing forward. I have a wonderful group of people that support, my foundation's mission and goals." And like I said, that's to my right. You can't see off camera here is Heather. She's the executive director. She's smarter than me, younger than me, and she runs a very tight ship. People are afraid of her. I mean, she iron fist.
That's amazing.
Well, kind of. No, yeah, a little bit. But I was given the chance to keep pushing forward. So I tell people my slogan is never give up, never quit. I live by that, and it's got to be hard being my kids because I don't really give them an excuse why something's too hard. But,
I can see what that would be rough on them. It's like, damn it, Dad did it, I can do it. That's a little rough.
Yeah.
Hey, Travis, real quick, hit the foundation a little more here. I want to take advantage of this conversation to drive some donations. Yeah. How do people help? Tell me more about what you do.
Yeah, so we started the foundation, like I said, for care packages, but then it morphed into we bring out 8 families per week that have been through physical injuries due to service. So they could be stateside motorcycle accident, they could be overseas, get blown up. As long as it's a physical, amputation, spinal cord injury, paralyzation, something like that, we bring them and their families out and show them that they can still do things adaptively. I have a therapist of Walter Reed that came to be our programs person, so she runs all the programs. And we have like a high-rise ropes course, so you can see kind of in the backdrop of that picture. We do just a bunch of different things, and we show them no matter what their injuries are, life goes on. But it's not so much about just them; it's for the families as well. So it's for the spouse, it's for the children, it's for everybody to connect, and we keep it pretty intimate with 8 families. We bought a facility that was in really bad disrepair. We went ahead and renovated it for like $2.5 million with no money, just based off of belief and people's belief in us. And now we have like an $18 million facility that's paid off that we operate 47 weeks out of the year. And the cool thing is, I would go and I'd speak and I'd talk about the foundation. And if you scroll on that warrior path, that's really important actually, over on the warrior path. So we would always get asked, or I would always get asked about, like, what do you do for post-traumatic stress? And I don't have any issues. I sleep great. I've killed people. My buddies have died. Put them in body bags. It is what it is to me, unfortunately. I don't know how I can shut it off, but I do. But the Warrior Path program is one of the top in the nation for post-traumatic stress, and it's for first responders and combat veterans. And it's a week-long course that's free with some follow-on afterwards. And it's all paid for, and we're one of the 10 locations for this program. And it's going really, really well, and we're changing lives and saving people from killing themselves. And that's based off of just the single service member, right? You come out, not single, like they can't be married, but like just the service member comes out, and we show them how to struggle well, because we're all going to struggle, but learn how to struggle well. And we have post-traumatic growth and understand what their triggers are and break it down. And it's one of the best in the nation, if not the best in the nation, and we're grateful for the partnership. But we do 12 weeks. We're going to bump that to 15 weeks a year, that we're able to put that in as, for our 47 weeks that we're trying to struggle. But
Travis, you don't strike me as a guy that only developed this need to help other people because of what happened to you. Were you always like this? Did you find yourself philanthropic and wanting to be charitable and helping other people? Because you sound like a natural at this. Like this is just what you were born to do, not just what you kind of threw yourself into because of your situation.
I mean, I've always been awesome. If that's what you mean. But no, so I was always like a captain of the football, baseball, and basketball teams. My mom and dad instilled in me, like, I never picked on anybody. I wasn't a bully. If people were getting picked on, like, I stepped in and said, hey, cut it out. Like, what are you doing? So I was friends with everybody I could be friends with, and I've always been that guy. I've always been happy, jovial. I mean, I'll tell you what, the whole ADHD thing, I'm telling you, everybody was always like, man, you probably have ADHD. I'm like, well, the back of my, my dad's hand in the back of my head fixes that real quick. It's like I learned how to pay attention quick when I was younger. Not like I got beat or anything. Just is what it is.
No, I got.
But I've always been that guy.
I had ADHD too, and I'll just say it. I got beat, but it worked. It worked. You go with what works, right?
A little spanking really straightened right up.
Yeah, you better.
But I've been fortunate. I've always been this guy. So like when I got injured, I was pretty positive once I got my daughter, and I started like getting asked by the therapists and doctors, like, hey, we got a guy upstairs who lost a leg or lost 2 legs. Can't tell you what room he's in because the HIPAA. Can't tell you his name either, but I can tell you he's not in 41 and he's not in 43. So if you can find him, and that would, I'd go find him. And I knew where they were at. And then they started saying like, hey, Travis, we have Sergeant, Johnson, whatever, up here in room, 43. Can you go say hi? And I became that guy that would be like a mentor. And, and I was like one of the old guys. I was 25, but for guys getting injured, like they're usually like 19, 20, 18, whatever. So I was like one of the old guys, and I was a staff sergeant, a lot more private. So like I was like a mentor to them. And I think I just always had that personality. So the biggest compliment I get, or I've gotten in the past, is when people would say, Travis, oh my gosh, you're literally the same guy you were before. Because I acted the same. And that was like the best thing when I go back to my hometown and be like, oh my gosh, you're the same person. It's like, thank you for the compliment. I mean, depending. If it was a teacher, I'm like, look, I'm sorry, I'm working on myself. But no, I mean, I even being like a student that was like a DC average student, right? Like I wasn't head of the class. I wasn't the lowest. My mom and dad made sure that when I had to pay attention, I'd bring it back up.
You took care of your business, right?
But like the teachers liked me. I was always nice, and things like that. I was a little bit of a pain every now and then, but I took Kelsey the first time I went back to my hometown on my first leave, and I met my wife, and we went home, and I took her I was like, oh, let's go to the high school and say hi to people. Like 2 or 3 teachers were out in the hallway, like in tears. We just missed them up here, and they were showing the pictures in the hallway. Like they have like a lot of all conference, all state football, basketball, baseball, whatever power, whatever sport I was in. Like there's a wall for that, and they were like, they took her down the hall and showed her and stuff. So, it's a. I feel like that was a really long-winded way to brag on myself. I didn't mean it to be like that.
I asked you to. No, you do. I said at the beginning of our conversation that you are relentlessly positive, and it just strikes me that it's not because I'm not going to let this, my ailments, define me. I'm not going to let them defeat me. I'm going to come back from them. It seems to be who you are. And you know what? And again, I don't want to be preachy because I'm not qualified to preach, but I think sometimes things happen to people for a reason. You asked yourself early on, does God hate me? Why me? And I think why you is because you can handle this and because you have become a driving force for a lot of people. And a weaker person, somebody who didn't have your type of personality, your type of persona, your ability to affect other people, having this happen to them wouldn't have helped a soul. And so that's why it didn't happen. So again, I'm not trying to go over the top on that, Travis, but you really are inspirational, and I think it's a natural for you, and I just love what you're doing, man. So thanks for sharing it. I want to wish you the best of luck with the book. Tell everybody again, get Bounce Back on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or wherever the hell you get your books anymore. I'm looking forward to it. It comes out November 7th. But keep doing what you do. I'd love to visit with you again, man. Give us in fact, I'm going to follow your Instagram now that I know there's so much great content on there. We'll tell everybody to do that too. Staff Sergeant Mill, right? What is it on Instagram? Staff Sergeant?
This SSG Travis Mills.
SSG Travis Mills. There you go, at Instagram. Yeah. Travis, man, thank you. Thank you for what you did. Thank you for your service. Thanks for your positivity. God bless you, brother.
Hey, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for having me, and hope you guys have a great day.
You too.
This is a great time. My iPad's about to die, so it's even better that we're saying our C'est La Vie. But if you guys want to find out more, visit travismills.org or travismillsfoundation.org. Both websites will lead you to both sides. So take care. Remember, watch out for bombs because they will get you.
Awesome. Thanks, Travis. Like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to be notified for all our new videos. New episodes dropping every Tuesday morning, and we'll have some of our favorite interviews from the vault dropping on Fridays as well.